Hi, this is Dmitry Bilgier, and I'd like to talk to you today about a couple of things about focus and focusing that I've never heard anybody talk about. I want to start by giving you this idea that people who are focused say no to extraordinary opportunities. I'd like to give you three quick stories of that. The actor Sidney Poitier, right? I believe he was really the first black actor to really do well in Hollywood in the early 1960s. And in the late 50s, early 1960s, he'd done a little bit of acting in plays and stuff like that, but he hadn't done much. And he was living in Harlem, running a restaurant in Harlem, not a high-end restaurant by any means. He had, I think, 2 kids and another one on the way. Lots of financial stress. He gets a call from an agent to read for a part. He reads the part, and the agent says, "Do you want it?" And Sidney Poitier says, "I don't want this part, and I'm not going to take it." And the reason was he was focused on being an actor who always did his best work with incredible integrity. And he said in his autobiography, he talked about it seemed like this was a weak African-American man he'd be playing. And he only wanted to play men who were strong and powerful and did well. He said, "I didn't think I could do my best work with this, so I said no to it." And he went back to the restaurant. And by the way, this was going to pay, I think, more than he would have earned in the restaurant in like 6 months or a year or something like that for 3 weeks of work. It was a big deal to say no to it. But he just did that because he was focused on doing his best work. And so he was willing to say no to things that were not that. Now, my wife and I have a friend who is a scientist, and after she got her PhD, she had a certain kind of light in her heart for work she wanted to do, really helping people. And she got offered a job in Paris near the Eiffel Tower. I think they were going to put her up. Amazing place, great people, great food, good money. And all of her friends were like, "Wow, this is amazing. You got to take this job." And she said no. She said, "No, I'm not going to take this job because I'm focused on building a certain kind of a life for myself. And this isn't going to get me that." She was focused, so she said no to something extraordinary. And from my own life, I went through a period of several years where I was really focused on finding a woman who I could marry. So in the face of that, I made a decision that if I could sort of see when I first met a woman how this was going to end, and sometimes you can do that. You can just see, if you've dated a lot, you get to a point where you say, "All right, I know how this is going to end." If I could see how it was going to end, I wouldn't pursue it. And so for several years, there'd be times where women would approach me, or I'd meet women, and they'd be really interesting, intelligent, attractive, whatever, and I wouldn't pursue it. Because I was focused on something that I wouldn't be able to see how it would end. And people would say to me, "Wow, I can't believe you didn't pursue it with that woman. What's wrong with you?" So all 3 of those ended well, right? Sidney Poitier became a very famous actor doing amazing work that he really believed in. And then our friend, she ended up getting a job with the presidential administration working on healing AIDS in Africa. Something that's very close to her heart. She's really making a difference that she can see. And for me, I met my wife. I couldn't see how it would end, and I still can't. So focus requires this willingness to say no to opportunities that will look great to everybody around you. And the problem with that is that that's really scary. Sidney Poitier had to go back to working at his restaurant, not knowing how he was going to pay living expenses for himself, his wife, and his children. For my friend, she had to go back to sending out resumes, not knowing if something better would come along. And for myself, I was home alone Saturday night, wondering, did I make a huge mistake? And so that's the question that will come up. When you focus, when you really focus on something, you're going to find yourself saying no to things. And when you say no to things, that's going to put you in a position of being afraid you made a mistake. What I want you to take away from this is, yes, you'll say no to things that seem extraordinary to other people when you're focused. And secondly, that will be scary and upsetting. Don't be surprised when that happens. And don't be surprised during your dark hours when you have second thoughts about those decisions. But if you reevaluate them from the point of view of what is it really put in your heart to go for? What are you truly focused on? I want to suggest don't reevaluate from a place of desperation. And if you can do that, that will really help you get to where it is, your focus and your inner guidance wants you to go. So I hope you find this a useful little talk, kind of a pep talk, and things to navigate while you're focusing on what you want in your life. This is Dmitry Bilgier. signing off.